This morning's devotional is going to be a little bit different in length and kind of structure. It's going to look at 4 chapters, 9 plagues in 2 parts. And what I mean is I want to look at one dynamic of these chapters today and another dynamic or theme within them tomorrow. Um, for this morning, today, whenever you're watching this, God has just commanded Moses and Aaron to go appear before Pharaoh. Let my people go. Moses the leader, Aaron the speaker. But as we see, God tells them, look, Pharaoh's not going to listen. So God would bring great acts of judgment upon Egypt. And through this, Israel would be rescued, redeemed, purchased from slavery. But notice the purpose in chapter 7, verse 5. This is the dynamic I want to look at today. God's purpose in doing this was so the Egyptians would know that Yahweh was the Lord. Lord meaning the true God, the one God who is above all other beings. And these 10, we call them the 10 plagues, though I just actually learned in my reading this week, plague doesn't actually appear in the Hebrew until the 10th plague. They're mighty blows before that. But these 10 acts of power by Yahweh are a direct confrontation with the gods of Egypt. See, when Moses and Aaron confront Pharaoh, Pharaoh has his own collection of powerful persons, magicians, many translations call them. So when Aaron brings out the staff that can turn into a snake, and it turns into a snake, these powerful individuals are able to replicate this power. However, Aaron's snake eats the other snakes. Power play. And this sets the tone. For the next few plagues, the Egyptian magicians can copy the plague, but they cannot undo them. And soon as you read the progression, they cannot replicate what God is doing, and they can never turn it off. They have to ask Moses to do so, to go before God. And what is going on here is the showdown of which God or which gods are truly in power, which are the true power. Because all of these 10 incidents, and we're actually in these chapters only looking at 9 of them, or at least you only read 9 of them, but all 10 are direct confrontations with the Egyptian pantheon of gods. And Yahweh, the God of the slave nation, shows his mighty hand at being more powerful than each and every god the Egyptians worshipped. Now, one question often arises from these chapters, at least to modern Westerners. How could the Egyptian magicians do the same kinds of things? I mean, as Christians, we kind of suspend our Western cultural worldview and go, well, God is God. If God wants to do it, he has the power. So we have no issues usually seeing Moses or Aaron being able to perform miraculous acts of power because Yahweh's behind it. But we have a worldview that goes, that means all other gods that are worshipped are powerless. That is not the ancient Near East. That is not the Old Testament biblical worldview. The worldview is that God created everything, including spiritual beings that were created to operate under his authority for his purposes. And there are some who rebelled, including ones who kept their authority, or at least kept their power, and are able to act against or for, potentially, maybe, those who worship them. And so the Egyptian gods were not just empty, existenceless deities. They would have been fallen spiritual beings guised as the gods, being worshipped, promising what they could never deliver. And here's God of the nation of Israel, showing to Egypt, to the Egyptians, who's the true God. Who should you worship? There's an inherent invitation here. So here's our thought for today. Every culture has its own gods. And these can be in the forms of religious entities or deities like Baal in the ancient Near East, or the traditional religions of West Africa today, for example. But every culture has gods. Every culture has things that are valued in competition with Jesus. In our culture, in Canada, can be success, fame, pleasure, comfort, security. Things that we value and act on out of greater allegiance than we do to Jesus. So here's the question. I've asked this before, but it's one that's good for us to keep reminding ourselves of. Where is our allegiance? What is competing with our allegiance to Jesus? And what do we need to put in its proper place? As you consider that, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today would you know his peace. God bless.